Hi guys, welcome to another video from Overbite Gaming, and today we're going to be taking a look at Alan Wake 2. Now, I've been thinking about how I can talk to you guys about Alan Wake 2 for pretty much most of the day. Because it's not the kind of game I really want to get into story-wise, because A, it's really, really complicated, and B, is part of the appeal of the game, so I don't really want to give you too many spoilers. And outside of that, it's strange. Strange would be a good way of putting it. It feels like Stephen King, Twin Peaks, and In the Mouth of Madness had a three-way, and this was the resultant mutant baby. So, yes, it's a third-person investigation slash action slash horror slash puzzle game. It's very difficult to classify. It comes from Remedy, who have done some fantastic games in the past, and some games I wasn't very, let's say, in tune with. So they obviously did Max Payne. In fact, the character model guy, the writer, Sam Lake, there you go, I remembered his bloody name, is in this game, playing a character. And Remedy seem to like interweave quite a lot of their worlds, so
what can you tell us about
there's
the
elements that you may see in this game that's mentioned in Control, for instance, which is a game I didn't really get on with because it was really fucking hard. It was a complete sort of flashback to those days in Max Payne where you were trying to like shoot the bad guys and having to restart it over and over. But I'm going to stop talking about that because we're talking about Alan Wake. So you start off running through the woods as a big fat guy, which you will come to know as having been a character featured in the first game. I'm not going to show you any of that. Unfortunately, a lot of the opening of the game, which is all I'm going to show you, does feature this naked fat guy. Or at least his corpse, because very shortly after running through the woods he gets got in a particular nasty fashion, and then obviously you have his body where he is still naked and still fat. Now I don't have a problem with that. If I want to see a fat, balding, sweaty, naked guy, I can do that anytime. All I've got to do is drop my pants, right? But for the rest of you, and for YouTube's sensibilities, we won't be showing any of the tiny fat man penis.
Before we get
there
to
you
the
are.
crime scene,
I'm sorry if that's what you were hoping for. Some of the controversy that's come up around this game has been the inclusion of an alternate central character called Saga. She's fine. I think it's unfortunate that she's probably in the sections of the game that I enjoy most. And obviously, when you've got a game that's a sequel to a game where you played Alan Wake and it's called Alan Wake 2, you do kind of have the expectation of actually playing Alan Wake. And it's very easy to wave it and say it's a diversity sort of thing, being a black female. We've seen that happen before. And, I don't have a huge problem with her. I find her quite attractive, to be honest, so I find her more attractive than Alan, so I'm not too bothered. But it is a thing to be aware of if you are a huge fan of the first game. A lot of the game is spent with Saga.
We're just getting started.
She
Let's head down the
is
hill to the crime scene.
probably
Hey, Casey.
the central antagonist of the two, I would say.
Why now?
Personally, even though the story is more sort of Wake-centric. Which I'm trying to avoid. So they also play slightly differently in the fact that they have these mind spaces. In Saga's, it's a mind palace where she assembles case files and puts clues together and then does deductions and profiling. So she learns more about the investigation that way, which opens up more dialogue options and moves the story along, essentially, because she does have some form of psychic powers, so she can deduce things just from, well, pretty much nothing, to be fair. Whereas Alan has a writer's room in his head, which he can then use to change the way the story's going. This plays into a lot of puzzle mechanics. which comes from you using a lamp to move a light around and it changing the environment around you, so it opens doors or whatever. You can also get inspirations that you can use to amend the way the story is going and change it so you can get through. It's very meta. I haven't finished Alan Wake 1 or American Nightmare, although I have played them both. In fact, I got Alan Wake 2 on sale from the Epic Games Store, and they're doing what they normally do over the Christmas period, is give you a 33% coupon for purchases over £15. So as a result, I got Alan Wake 2 for just over 20 quid, which fits my budget quite nicely, to be fair. And as a bit of a bonus, I even got the Alan Wake 1 remaster thrown in there for free. So I was quite happy with that purchase. I will be going back to play Alan Wake 1 remastered, definitely. I did look up a lore video on sort of the previous game, just because if you haven't played the first one, it's not impossible to play and enjoy the new game, but things make more sense if you have, or at least watch a lore video like I did. I recommend Gaming Harry. He does excellent work, excellent lore videos, and he does it on a lot of things that I'm actually very interested in, so I've seen a lot of his stuff. So yeah, big recommendation if you do want to check out any of the lore for, I think he does mostly horror games and some action stuff, like Outlast, things like that, Dying Light, Resident Evil, so you know, that sort of thing. If you're into that and you want to deep dive the lore, then Gaming Harry is your boy. From a performance standpoint, this is one of the worst implemented ray tracing examples I've ever seen. Turned ray tracing on to sort of moderate settings. I was getting right around 20 frames a second. So that was swiftly switched off. DLSS was set to quality, and I'm playing 1440p with pretty much everything else up max. And I'm getting, you know, between 60 and 80 frames per second in the usual. So, yeah, turn ray tracing off. It's unfortunate because a lot of the game does take place in environments where I think ray tracing would for once be beneficial. In a forest with pools of water and sunlight coming through the balcony. I mean, that's something that I think ray tracing would actually improve, but it's just destroys the performance. I mean, maybe it's slightly better on 40 series cards. I don't know. I don't have one of those. With the next generation sort of ray tracing hardware in it, but certainly on mine it made it unplayable, and I would rather turn it off, to be honest with you. As I say, it's a bit of a missed opportunity given the environments that you're sort of going around in. The combat is pretty much the same as it has been in the previous two games. Well, I said previous two, but you know, there was American Nightmares for some reason, not Alan Wake 2. I think that was more of a spin-off, though, if memory serves correctly, although I haven't, as I said, completed it. So you have enemies that are shrouded in darkness, and you use your torch to burn away the darkness, which then makes them vulnerable to, you know, regular things like bullets and shotguns, and which you will then obviously use to kill them. There's a bit more enemy variety than I can remember being in the previous game, so that's nice. And there's a few sub boss battles. As I said, I've not finished previous two games, so I can't say whether that was there previous, but it is in this one. The first battle is a little scary, actually. I didn't expect that, but it has this whole moment where you're sort of separated from your gun and your flashlight, and you've been injured, so it's a little bit nerve-wracking. But you know, you get your flashlight, you get your gun, and you shoot them in the face, and all's right with the world. Well, partially, I suppose. There is also a lot of live-action footage sort of used in the game, and to the game's credit, it did take me a few seconds to realise what it was. I looked at it and went, no, the graphics style changed. I went, no, wait a minute, that's live action. I wasn't sat there watching it for 10 minutes and then went, oh, whoops, or anything like that. But it wasn't such a jarring sort of change as I was expecting. So, well, as I wasn't expecting it, but that I would have thought it would be, because the graphics in the game are very good. They're not live action good, but they're getting there, to be perfectly honest with you, especially in terms of the animation, although that's probably a little bit behind the fidelity. Certainly, like, the big giveaway was the way the skin moved around people's eyes when they smiled and things like that. It just doesn't happen that way in video games, unfortunately, yet. I'm sure it will at some point. I'm sure Unreal Engine 27 will iron that bug out. So as I said, I can't really talk about the story of the game. The gameplay, I mean, I've heard people say that it's a walking simulator. It's not that, but I'd be lying to say they didn't have a modicum of a point, perhaps. There is a lot of walking around in it, whether it's through a forest or a fictionalized version of New York or TV studios. There is a lot of walking, and it is a very slow game to get going. Don't expect like hordes of shadow creatures to take out within like the first few hours. You maybe see one. So if you're here expecting it to be, I mean, I remember Alan Wake 1 sort of really starting out with a bang and sort of teaching you how to kill things and then getting chased by the presence in the lighthouse and stuff like that. But this takes it a lot more slowly. Outside of the sort of scary naked fat man part. It's not scary because he's naked and fat, but that doesn't help.
Nightingale was chosen as why?
That's basically the intro that you play, and then you move on to Saga and her stuff with your partner. You will notice recognizable faces in it. There's one of the Ashmores, which is to be expected because Remedy also did Quantum Break. I believe it's the same one. I can't tell them apart, so sorry, Sean, sorry, Aaron, but no idea. I know one of you was Jimmy Olsen and the other one was Iceman, but I don't know which one was which. I'm sure there's some Ashmore fans out there are very mad at me right now. I'm sorry. I did enjoy Smallville, so leave me alone. He's in it. David Harewood, I think it is, who has been a lot in some of the Call of Duty games, and was also Martian Manhunter and Supergirl. He's in it. He's an actor I've always actually really liked. There's just something about him that's charismatic to me. I don't know why. No idea at all, but I'm always quite happy to see him in productions. He has sort of a more bulky Lance Reddick thing going on almost, although possibly not quite as good.
I'd love to hear what you put together so far.
I don't know who played Alan Wake. I think a lot of the cast, I think Remedy are in like Europe, so they're not really English speakers. I think they're Finnish or something. That's just the top of my head. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I think a lot of the character models using an actor and then got someone else to voice them, sort of Commander Shepard syndrome sort of thing. Because did you ever see that guy, man? The guy that they modeled like Commander Shepard, he's like
lots of answers for us to find.
A model or something called, I don't know, Paolo, something like that. And he's just freaky to see him in real life because he looks exactly like him. You're just like, oh god,
it is kind of creepy.
That is super weird. But anyway, I'm losing track. So yeah, I think they have people playing like
barefoot
the face, and then they have someone else come in to voice over them.
Come out from under the boulder.
Makes no sense.
I don't really have anything else to say. I mean, you get different weapons. You get like a shotgun quite early on, and obviously that's more effective when you've got the darkness off them. It's an interesting game. I'm not sure how I would classify my experience with it, to be perfectly honest. There's a part of me that really likes it, and there's another part of me that thinks it's a bit pretentious.
Like a manuscript.
It's kind of like watching an A24 movie,
Left a message.
and you're kind of like, I understand what you're doing, but you're
It's for us.
not as clever as you think you are.
The text is
I
about
think
us.
that there's a little bit of that to it.
The victim was one of their own.
I don't know.
FBI Special Agent Robert Nightingale.
If you liked Alan Wake
And then
1,
there was the page they
you will
found.
most likely like this, even
First
though
step
Alan
down
Wake
into
is
terrifying
kind
depths.
of like put to the side a little bit in his own
Reading
story,
words.
which is a bit annoying.
These words felt like a
but-
message.
Felt like a message.
You know, I think
Someone knew they were here.
this
Someone
is
playing
a divisive game. I think
An invitation.
you'll get people that absolutely love it,
How could they not
and
accept?
you'll get people
Even
that
if they knew it would end up
just
hurting them.
can't stand it, think it's slow, boring, and not interesting. As usual,
Someone's been watching
As
us.
usual, I'm the exception to the fucking rule. I'm the same with Marmite. I don't mind Marmite.
This is
I don't
right up
particularly
my
love it. I
alley.
don't particularly hate it.
Nightingale came this way.
But
Either he dropped this page,
I'm supposed to,
or the
apparently.
killers left it for us.
Or Vegemite if you're
I should profile
in
Nightingale about
Australia.
this page.
Although I'm not sure how many of my metrics are in Australia, to be perfectly honest with you. Probably not that many. Yes,
We found a page
never
in the
forgiven
woods.
us for shipping them
A
over to
story
the
about
land
these
of death,
events.
apparently.
What is
Oh well.
Nightingale's role in this?
So, Alan Wake, would I recommend it?
To my chest now.
If you like the first one, easy. Recommended. There you go. Sorted.
Truth.
If you've never played an Alan Wake game,
Dig it out.
it's a
Something
very
was put
interesting
inside him.
experience.
In his chest.
For me,
I must find out what.
for getting it for just over 20 quid, no brainer. It was worth it just to play the game and try it out and sort of be like, okay, this is what you're doing with this. Okay, I see. Okay. But, you know, if I'd paid like... It's not full price anyway because they decided not to do a physical release,
think
which
he
apparently
came from
brought
the
the price down.
But his tracks make
Not sure
no
how much I
sense.
believe of that, seeing as most of the stuff on the PlayStation Store is more expensive than the physical equivalents I can get from Amazon or someplace like that. Yes, not sure. But
all I
it is
can
listed
hear.
at like 40
Time to
odd
properly
quid
examine the
normally,
body.
I think,
See what I can find
on
inside.
Epic. So maybe they are
see.
onto something.
I
We'll
think
just get
something's
more
been put
digital.
inside
And
Nightingale's body.
buying for Christmas
Let's tell the
presents a
deputies
bit of
to
a
get the body
wee
to the
fucker
town
though,
hall.
got to say.
Okay.
Can you imagine? You want to buy someone that for Christmas? What are you going to have to do?
Whoever wrote that
Yeah.
page made
Go
sure it
on,
read
son.
like a story.
Log on to your account. Let's buy
Like
you
a
in a
scene from
game.
thriller.
Here's me card details. It's just like no wrapping or anything. That's no fun, is it? May as well wrap them up a fucking gift card for
They're
40
twisting
quid or whatever.
events to create their own
Ugh.
narrative to do
Don't like
Why?
that. Don't like not having like physical
Entertain
copies
some
of things
fantasy.
around to
projecting
give as
their
gifts. I think
desires.
that's a big
Are we characters or the
thing
audience?
that they're missing out on.
Witnesses
But I
to
mean,
their design?
if the game's 20 quid cheaper,
All the above?
so what?
It's all about
I don't know where I'm
control.
going with this. Fuck it.
Deciding what happens to who.
Fuck it. I'm stopping right now.
Too late.
So Alan Wake,
I'm already
let me know
up.
what you thought about it down below. I'd be very interested to hear anyone who really felt strongly about it rather than me being
down there, huh?
kind of in the middle. Again,
Deputy, I want the body
I
taken back
remember
to town
when
for
we used to
proper
do like
examination
scores on
ASAP.
videos. We stopped doing that because my score was always like
The
7.
coroner won't be back in town for another week after Christmas.
I think it was because
Not a
like
problem. I'll
we,
do it
we
myself.
never
Oh,
we
and
never
Sheriff
replayed a game I
called to
didn't
say he's got
necessarily
some
like
hookers
that
that
much
they
when
owed
we
your
were
dime
scoring it
in
because
town.
like who wants to play a
Oh,
game you
and
don't
I've got
like?
a key to the gate. It's a shortcut back
But
to the parking
yeah,
lot
Watch
just
Dogs
up
2
the
probably would have
hill.
got less than a 7. We can go back and watch that review actually and see if I actually gave it a score. I can't remember. It's years ago. Anyway, guys, I think I've
Need to
waffled on
swing
for
by the
long
lodge
enough.
to get
I
anything
don't even
from
have to
the
worry
field
about the
office.
algorithm because
I'll
not
park there
monetized.
anyway.
So yes,
I want to walk to the
we're
diner.
not stretching it out
Get
for
a
an
feel
additional
for
ad or
the town.
anything. So we may as well finish there. So guys, this will be coming out 2 days before Christmas, I believe. So I hope you have a very happy Christmas. And I think, not sure. I will have to check the calendar, but my next video might be
diner's
out
just up
before
the
the new year.
waterfront.
I don't know. It will be
Shouldn't keep the
filmed
sheriff and all
certainly
witnesses
before
waiting.
the new year, but I'm not sure if it will hit
Just how much coffee
YouTube
have you had
prior to
today?
that. If it doesn't, then Have a good New Year as well. I hope you're all keeping well. And I guess we'll do this some more next year. Or just before next year, as the case may be. Take it easy, guys. And I'll catch you next time.
Let me get